holding pattern all year. They're starting to break out. The currency is obviously a big consideration. You've got more than a third of your revenues in S&P 500 coming from international sources, but only about 21% for the Russell. So there's a big gap there. But I think, frankly, Mike, a lot of this is there was a dismal 2021 in small cap stocks. They already priced in a lot of whatever is coming at us economically, and I think a lot of investors recognize that at this point.
Yeah, it definitely was pretty stark, the difference between, small cap valuations and the S&P, which is still, the valuation at least, still so elevated by those mega cap growth stocks. Broadly speaking, what do you think the market is positioned for here going into the Fed tomorrow? I mean, I'm actually happy the market's down a little bit today. I mean, I never like to see a big tape going into a Fed day. But look, I think that the dovish narrative is kind of creeping back under the surface. People don't want to say it too loudly. I talked to plenty of clients who are, looking for the idea, trying to build models showing that CPI is moderating and the Fed can back off. So I know that work is still being done. Our rate strategy team thinks they may be setting up to tee up sort of a step down. We'll see how the market reacts if that indeed is what we get. But I do think there's a dovish undercurrent just based on the rhetoric we've seen lately. Well, I mean, they've been characterizing this project as front-loading rate hikes, front-loading the tightening efforts all year. Yeah. And so at some point you've front-loaded them, right? I mean, I think it's interesting to think about it as how far things have come since March when they first began liftoff.
I think so. And look, I think there are a lot of people who have agreed with that strategy. I think what's been so hard about the Fed and markets this year is that equity investors do want inflation to be fought. So there has been some sympathy for that approach in certain circles. There has obviously been worry about the pain. But we are coming down on the end of this year. People are very eager to start looking ahead to 2023. And so I think there's some hope in the air.
Do you think that there's the capacity of investors to look all the way across the valley, so to speak, of whatever is going to be hitting the economy?
I think so. I mean, a lot, we talked about small caps. Even my large cap clients who normally, their eyes sort of glaze over when I want to talk about small caps because it's not what they do. Even they've been willing to listen to me talk about how all the risks from a recession are basically priced into small cap at this point because everybody is looking for things that have been de-risked, whether it's a sector, a stock, a size segment. People are having those conversations, and they've been having them for a few months, frankly.
Within the market or within the small cap indexes, what does seem to make sense here? I mean, financials or, other cyclicals? So, look, I think in small cap it is largely the cyclical plays. Things like energy, financials, consumer discretionary all look very, very cheap. If you look at small cap consumer discretionary stocks on our valuation model, they're at typical troughs. Financials also look very cheap in large cap, but they look just as cheap, if not a bit cheaper in small cap, and you have less international exposure there as well if you're looking at something like the banks. So I think there are a lot of choices. I talk a lot about industrials these days, particularly with small cap investors. They're not super cheap, but they are generally viewed as high quality and benefiting from the reshoring theme. So people are starting to get very excited about the fundamental narrative there as well. Is there anything to be done in pockets of technology, whether it's within or outside of the FANG type stocks?
So, look, I think that technology, if you look in the large cap space, and we're talking not so much the internets, but kind of the traditional semi-software services, that's a reasonably valued sector. I think in small cap it gets a little bit dicier because, first of all, it's just hard to measure valuation. You have so many companies that are loss makers. I would say in tech, stick with the higher quality names, not necessarily the FANGs, but some of the kind of more boring software type names.
Yeah, a little more kind of a throwback type theme.
Yeah, and think about companies that are helping you battle whatever, next crisis is coming, whether that's been inflation or the trade war or now a slowing economy.
All right, Lori, great to catch up with you.
Thanks for having me.